ones that are still supporting it didn't know that they had another option. See,
Right.
because again, they are programmed to get up, go to work, come home, watch a programmed TV news station that does not tell them about all of the protests. It's selective what they watch,
Yeah.
so, and it's assured. So if they're a government worker, government's good, I got to pay my taxes, come home, I'll watch the news, about something that is, there could be a million things happening in this
Yeah.
outside world, but they're fake news, like Trump calls it. I love that because it is, and the fake news is there as a program that would coincide with them going to work, paying taxes.
Yeah.
But and with that, as Trump is doing, tearing down that fake news as well, and it's comical what he comes out with, because I mean, it's blatantly, he is a prominent public figure, and here he is coming right out and saying that, like, ones like CNN and Fox and different ones, the huge medias, that they are the fake news. And it's comical because what you would call the alternative news, which these big news medias called the fake, this is actually the right news. It is the truth, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And what you are having is more and more also supporting this. They're taking YouTube's, making their own YouTube videos, many speaking, many. It's just expanding so rapidly that, the other, I mentioned a while ago, we actually have control over the media just because of that, because we don't need to take control of this big media like you would think. What we do is we build the other media, then it pushes it out of existence, because you have this big expanding media. And as I said before, for some things you don't even need common sense. Once you're introduced to it, you know that this is the way to go, and that's why it's getting so much bigger as well. And it is divinely supported because it is the truth. The alternative news is the truth. It's divinely supported, and it's also energized to have that effect to reach down in and awaken more of the masses, which it's doing, and taking them away from the oligarchs that own these news medias, and changing the programming.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, if it, knowing who Trump is, I think for people may think, well, that's just Trump, blowing steam or whatever. So, but again, it goes really back to people knowing that they didn't have an option, and now we do have an option. So that might be something we can do in the future, is a show on that, just of the corruptness of what we really think to be the truth, but it really isn't.
If I may, I'd like to just barely, I'd like to put this out there, because this is a very, let me say, this is very important in this now. So just by us speaking about it, you'll start to see the effects. The foods that are given into hospitals to patients and the jails, these foods are highly toxic, full of chemicals. So in this temporary now, what we need to do upon the planet, anyone needing lesser medical care or needing medical care in any of these sort of institutions, or anyone in the jail, and I know in the U.S. many were jailed because it's all part of a monetary system. Intentionally, you'll have someone with a small misdemeanor getting jailed for 6 months because, they get paid for it. The ones that own the jails, they made a business out of it, and the judges were in collusion with the jails, to make this pocket money. And this has been confirmed in several states, and the documentation has been put out of this. So I'm not speaking off the top of my hat, and I do know this. And anyone knows about hospital food, if I mentioned that, everyone's stomach would just go, ah, because, yeah, it is highly toxic. And, it's contradictory, too. You're supposed to be having health care with, good any dietitian or practitioner will tell you how important your diet is, to keep it good and clean. Yet you'll have hospitals heating up food in microwaves and food that are processed and full of chemicals. Like, how contradictory is it? So, meantime, we got to get that stuff changed up for more of our comrades that are awakening. So, they get not too succumbed to the chemicals, if you will.
Yeah, that's
so I'll put it out there. We'll see what we see about that, huh? So.
Yes. Well, we seem to always see something happen after these shows, so I would venture to say that we'll probably see something.
Okay. Also, Linda, if I may, I'd like to touch very quickly, briefly on one more thing.
Yes, of course, yes.
What some of you have been targets for a long time, and you knew you were under surveillance by government black ops, the guys above governments. Actually, governments, as you know, is really run by the elites. So let's say these elites that were afraid of you and coming into your prowess and kept you suppressed, that you couldn't be killed and that you were under constant surveillance, and that they can't touch you. However, they don't know what else to do with you. I've been telling them, and perhaps you've been telling them, to just do the right things, but they didn't. So they continue to monitor and watch you, and I guess perhaps out of a hope or a whim that they'll be able to do something. But it's not about us. It's not about you anymore being the target. You may see surveillance or what have you, but again, that is diminishing, and it will go away if you're seeing it, because, again, it's not supported and it cannot be. And you are protected at all times, and it is assured. So there can be no injustices to heavy degrees imposed upon you. In the past, many of you, they tried to frame you, and I know about all of these things. That gets into another show, but to cut this off shortly, that they cannot harm you, and I have fun with them, and when I see them, I give them a sign or blow them kisses. Before I used to walk to their vehicles and have a conversation with them and all of this. So have no fear with that.
Well, that's really everything is just what we're talking about from the very beginning of the shows, is really having no fear at all, and not feeding that fear into that, because that's what it does. Yeah.
Because that's how they controlled you. Yeah, through fear and money.
Yes.
Those were two of the main things.
Yes.